Hello everyone, I am the Desert Gardener, and it's the middle of November here in Southern California, and I'm still getting peppers. This is great, but we'll be talking more about peppers later on. The main working title of this video is going to be how to live a longer, healthier life with your home garden. So I've got my tea, let's talk about that. So before we get started, I want to make one thing clear. I'm not a medical professional and I'm not going to be giving you medical advice. But what I am pretty good at is reading statistics. So for example, if you live in Mexico, one of the leading causes of death is diabetes. Now why is that? Well, it seems to be two reasons. One, the folks that live in Mexico seem to be weirdly obsessed with Coca-Cola. And the other one is that there are places in Mexico where it's actually easier to get Coca-Cola than it is to get clean drinking water. And that's a shame because diabetes is something that's pretty easy to prevent in advance. Now, most of you know the basics of diabetes. If you consume a lot of refined sugar as well as carbs, which your body turns into glucose, eventually your body has trouble balancing your blood sugar, and eventually your pancreas just kind of gives up, and so you have to try and control it with insulin and such. But when you get diabetes or even pre-diabetic, one of the first things the doctor will tell you is to eat more fruits and vegetables, get plenty of exercise, and cut down on refined sugar. Now, that sounds a lot like what they used to tell us in high school, but people are not listening, and many people are deficient in many nutrients because they're not eating fruits and vegetables. Now, I know most of you that are listening or watching right now aren't in Mexico, so let's jump to the United States. According to the CDC, the #1 cause of death in the United States is heart disease. Now, you might think, well, heart disease is a much more complex issue, but not really. Let's go back to high school again. Remember in history class, they taught us about something called scurvy. Now, scurvy was something that sailors would get when they would go long periods without vitamin C. Now, what would happen is if the human body goes 3 months without vitamin C, a lot of bad stuff happens. You start having problems with your joints, fatigue, you can't heal very well, your capillaries become very fragile, that's the little veins in your body, and you start to bleed internally. And because you can't heal, eventually you just sort of bleed to death. And it's not a very pleasant way to go, but fortunately, scurvy is something that's not very common anymore. But many people who eat the typical American diet are so deficient in vitamin C and some other nutrients that they have a lot of scurvy-like symptoms without actually having scurvy. For example, if you, with our capillary example, when you get a little break in a small vein, your body will do its best to plug that up. And the human body is pretty good at dealing with those kind of things. For example, I got a cut on my finger last week, and within an hour or so there was a scab, and within a couple of days I couldn't even see the cut anymore. It's really great. And a lot of those things happen on the inside as well. You don't see it, you don't feel it, you don't know what's going on, but it's happening. So when you get a little crack in a vein like that, your body sends plaque to plug it up. And it works pretty well. The problem is you then get extra plaque that's now circulating through your bloodstream. And you get too much of it, and it can start clogging the veins or going to the heart and causing heart problems. And all because you were so deficient in vitamin C. Now, what are some things that you can grow yourself that's really high in vitamin C? Well, chili peppers. Now, I'll put a list below of some other things that are also high in vitamin C. But I know what a lot of you are probably saying right now. I drink lots of orange juice, so I'll be fine. Well, actually, no. Because orange juice is pasteurized, and vitamin C is very sensitive to heat. So when you pasteurize it, you lose most of that vitamin C. So by the time that orange juice gets to you, there's really very little vitamin C left in it. And despite what it may say on the box about being high in vitamin C or a good source in vitamin C or whatever it says, it's really not. So the next thing is, some people might say, well, I eat fruits and vegetables, so I'll be fine. Okay, well, where do you purchase those fruits and vegetables? Because as you probably know, many fruits and vegetables you buy in the grocery store are picked way before they're ripe. And when something isn't allowed to ripen on the vine, it's not going to have the nutrients it would if you allowed it to ripen right away. And another good example is our peppers again. You'll notice this is a nice bright red color. And other than some bell peppers, most peppers that you see in the grocery store are green. You know, the serranos, the jalapenos, the Anaheims, the Priscilas, they're all green. It's a great example of something that is underripe. They need to ripen to the red color in order to have all their nutrients. Now, of course, a lot of peppers are different, like this one ripens to a yellow color, and Priscilla's ripen to a really, really dark green that looks kind of purple, almost black. But it's a very good visual representation of what's going on, not only just with peppers, but with all fruits and vegetables in the grocery store. They're not allowed to ripen. They don't have the nutrients that they would have if they ripened. And the other issue is, what do you do with them when you get them home? Most people will cook them. Well, like I said before, when you raise the temperature of most fruits and vegetables, you're ruining most of the nutrients, especially the vitamin C that was in there. Anytime you get over 130 degrees, you're losing most of the most important nutrients. So growing them at home and allowing them to ripen on the vine is really the way to get the best nutrients. And so this whole video is to try and convince you that you need to have a home garden. Now, even if you live in an apartment complex, that is possible. You can get a grow light, you can grow microgreens, you can put some little containers in your kitchen window, and you can grow some herbs. Parsley is very high in vitamin C. You can get some little containers and get some dwarf varieties of many popular cherry tomatoes and even peppers. The plant that grew this lemon drop pepper here is less than a foot tall. It's smaller than most of my house plants. You're going to have room for it someplace. You just have to look. And of course, there's farmers markets, places where they're being grown closer to where you live, so they're being allowed to ripen more fully. And that's really important. And even if you have a garden, consider expanding it. Sure, you may lose a little grass, or you may have to take out some shrubbery, or even that rose bush that you like so much. But although it's pretty, it's not going to make you healthy. Now, even if you've never grown before, it is easy and possible. I have a whole series of videos, and I'm going to link to it at the end. It shows you how to start seeds, start a garden, and grow right from the very beginning. So even if you've never done it before, you can check out those videos. And I still have a few left to go. I'm going to finish those up, finish that series up next summer. So if you want to see those, like and subscribe. But remember, eating things fresh off the vine that are raw is the best way you're going to get your nutrients, the best way you're going to stay healthy and avoid a lot of the becoming a statistic on the CDC's website. So I'll see you in the next one.